Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Roerig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the TotalScreen.com. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we got quite a bit of news to get through, and we also have 2 episodes of Peace Walker to discuss. 2 for the price of 1, because last week we had to cover a Nintendo Direct and had to put Peacemaker on hold for a little bit.
Yes, we did.
But we're going to be back and caught up again at the end of this episode. So let's kick things off with our On Beat segment. On Beat. On Beat is where we cover the news from the last week and a half or so, or the last week. Let's start with Paramount Plus. So Paramount ended up having a bunch of news come out just recently. First off, they're rebranding their parent company, which is Viacom CBS, is now going to be called Paramount officially. They're taking that name, which is good. I'm sick of all these like tied together names. Viacom CBS, yeah. You know, like or NBC
Viacom
Universal, CBS
Paramount,
NBC Universal, Square Enix, you know.
Bandai Namco.
Yeah. I'm sick of these like joint names, like
Sega Sammy.
Yeah. We really need to just kind of like have that kind of simpler name that has more brand recognition. And Paramount, between Paramount, Viacom, and CBS, well, CBS probably has the most brand recognition, but I mean, that's just an acronym, so it's Paramount's the better name.
Yeah, Paramount's the better name. It makes it simple. Now you can just say Paramount for everything. Yeah, so. And
the streaming service Paramount Plus, of course, is their big priority for the company. So and they made a bunch of announcements.
So CBS All Access, that's done, right?
Yeah, it turned into Paramount Plus like last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it turned into Paramount Plus. They have 2 streaming services now. They have Paramount Plus and they have Showtime, whatever that's called. Showtime something.
Which is really dumb. They should just roll Showtime into Paramount Plus. Like, HBO Max is just one thing now.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Point. Yeah.
That's coming up in our information here about Paramount Plus. So let's work our way through it. So this isn't just Paramount Plus stuff, but it's Paramount in general, but like it all kind of ties into Paramount Plus eventually. We'll get to that. But Star Trek 4 has been announced. J.J. Abrams is continuing to produce. He's not directing the next one. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the WandaVision directors actually that's going to be doing this movie, but it's the same Star Trek universe from the J.J. Abrams.
I wonder if it's going to be like a new story than what the script they were originally working on is, or if they're still going to roll with that script about Kirk's dad. Because I remember like the dispute that was holding that back was Chris Hemsworth wanted more money since, you know, he was Thor since the first Star Trek movie came out. And they were like, nah, you know, like there was a payment dispute there. So I don't know, like if they're going with a completely different script and story, then that might.
They're just going to recast him with Chris Evans.
Yeah.
They just can't do anything but Chris's for the Kirk family.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so the Star Trek J.J. Abrams movies are continuing, much to the chagrin of Koenig on the Game Witness forums. That's my shout out to Koenig.
It's okay.
Unfortunately, you're getting more of this modern Trek.
Sorry, Koenig, modern Trek sucks. What can you do?
Yeah.
I actually like low key like enjoyed the film, so.
I think it's got parts. There's parts of it. I think the cast is good.
Yeah, I think the cast is good. They're fun action movies. Maybe not like fun Star Trek. Not as cerebral as like what you think of Star Trek is supposed to be, but yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
A Quiet Place 3 has been announced, and it will be targeting a 2025 release date. So I've never watched A Quiet Place.
I haven't even watched the first 2. Yeah. A Quiet Place.
Yeah, it was super popular. It kind of had the popularity of the first A Quiet Place movie kind of reminded me of like Blair Witch Project when that came out.
Then,
how it just kind of like blew up like really suddenly, you know?
Then they're going to do A Quiet Place 4. It's going to be like, it's going to be a crossover. A Quiet Place meets The Loud House.
Yeah, A Loud Place.
Yeah, A Loud Place, yeah.
The whole thing's going to take place like a water conditioning plant. So it's just really loud all the time. Like the characters still can't speak to each other. It's because they can't hear each other over the loud machinery.
The loud machinery, yeah.
The whole audience is going to come out of the movie theater just like, what? I can't hear you. Everyone's deaf.
The audience is now deaf.
Yes. Next piece of news is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has been announced for 2023 ahead of the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yes.
And they're going to do a Knuckles spin-off TV series for Paramount Plus. So the whole like spin-off directly tied to a movie thing is spreading.
It's spreading. Yeah, it's spreading. Paramount is all in on Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And I saw like Sega's president even made a statement about it where he was like,
finally Sonic is relevant again.
Yeah. Well, he said like 2022 is going to be a banner year for Sonic the Hedgehog. He also mentioned they have the Sonic Frontiers coming out for all platforms this fall.
And everyone went, who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
You think this movie is going to get one of those licensed games that we used to get all the time?
It might. Sega crazy enough to do it. I mean, Sonic Boom, the cartoon, that got a licensed game. It was funny too because it was part of that deal Nintendo made with Sega. Remember when Nintendo made that deal with Sega for like 3 exclusive Sonic games on the Wii U?
Mm.
And one of them was Sonic Lost World. I think the other one was one of the Sonic and Mario Olympics games. But then the third one was a video game adaptation of Sonic Boom.
So they made a deal with Nintendo to put at least 3 Sonic games on there, and Sega went, what's the bare minimum?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of movies getting greenlit through Paramount, Transformers. There's going to be a new trilogy, this time starring Anthony Ramos from the recent In the Heights musical that came out. And it will be from director Stephen Capel Jr., who did Creed 2.
And you're not even mentioning like the big thing about this trilogy. It's Rise of the Beast. It's Beast Wars.
I just don't care. I couldn't be bothered to get more information than what I got.
Okay.
And as I said, there's going to be more spin-off shows of movies coming to Paramount Plus. They said
that seems to be the
thing. With a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing among like all the streaming services.
A Transformers TV series? What?
Well, imagine if they made a cartoon. That could be popular. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they'd probably make some kind of a toy line to exploit it. I mean,
yeah, maybe.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
On to some of the better news related to Paramount Plus. South Park. So we know they signed that massive, almost $1 billion contract with the creators of South Park. Now South Park will be streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus starting in 2025 after the HBO Max deal expires. So right now they have a deal with HBO Max.
Oh, okay. So they're on HBO Max until 2025.
Yeah, in 2025, everything's going to come over exclusively to Paramount.
Got several years to binge it all on HBO Max.
What this is this shows what we all kind of knew was eventually going to come, which is that with all these streaming services popping up, the streaming services aren't popping up based on platforms like channels. They're coming up based on, content makers or like companies that produce content. And they're each making like a big streaming service. And now they're all starting to pull their content back into their own little walled garden,
Yes.
And we knew this was going to happen, and we knew it was going to take a while. And the reason some people are like, why is this happening now? It's like, well, there was contracts. That's it. That's why, there were contracts in place. And as they expire, you're going to start seeing everything kind of start pulling back to these individual companies. This is why Netflix went so huge on content years ago.
Yes.
Like when they just started like going like original content, everyone's like, why are they putting so much shit out? This is why.
Yeah. They realized pretty quickly, to their credit, that they needed stuff that they actually owned. Because even like before like people got the idea in their head to make their own streaming services, people were like taking stuff away from Netflix, Some of it out of spite. Like I don't think Netflix should get all the profits, for streaming this. We should have it back.
Well, what happened is they originally put all their stuff on Netflix because they were like, streaming, who cares? Sure. Yeah. And then Netflix blew up, and then they were like, why aren't we getting more of this streaming money?
Yeah. Why isn't Netflix paying us more money, basically?
Where this really started was the Starz deal with Netflix, when that went off. When the Starz deal broke off, because Starz had all those contracts for movies and stuff, so a lot of the movie lineup of Netflix just went up in smoke.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that.
Yeah, that was like when this really kind of started kicking off, and it's been a while, but we're kind of we're reaching kind of the end game of this whole movement is in sight now. You can see companies. Yeah,
this was going to happen.
Contracts are ending,
and the thing is, the reason Netflix is still competitive is because they realized very early on, before people started making their own services, that they needed their own content and that they needed to build that up. And thankfully for them, they did, because if they didn't, they'd be screwed right now.
Oh yeah. They'd be like MySpace.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like, oh yeah, you remember Netflix? It'd be like one of the things. Yeah.
Yeah. So still on the topic of South Park, they reconfirmed, we know they have that huge, I think was it 9 movies that was in that deal, that huge deal?
Yeah.
9 South Park movies. Well, now they've confirmed that they're going to be doing 2 a year is the plan. So we got 2 last year with the post-COVID movies, and now we're going to be getting 2 more every year in addition to South Park seasons being made now, because South Park's currently airing, for example. But yeah, so we're going to be getting 2 South Park movies a year on top of the show. And I think the movies are going to go a little bit different, kind of like how these last ones last year, it wasn't just like an episode of South Park but made as a movie. It was like they literally went into the future and focused on the kids as adults. And I think they're going to be doing more kind of higher concept kind of things that break from the regular format of South Park a bit for those movies. So that's South Park. Speaking of adult animated content though, Beavis and Butthead also going to be streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus, and it's also getting a movie on Paramount Plus called Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. And like the post-COVID ones, it's going to focus on an adult Beavis and Butthead.
Right, yeah.
And this is in addition to having another season of the regular Beavis and Butthead show as well coming.
I wonder how much they paid Mike Judge to come back and do more Beavis and Butthead. Or if he was just happy to be able to do it, just happy somebody was ordering more Beavis and Butthead.
Whatever it is, it's worth it, because I think it's going to be awesome to get some Beavis and Butthead back. I'm interested to see how they're going to do it.
Right, yeah, me too. I trust Mike Judge. I trust what he does. Mike Judge rarely does wrong, so.
See, if this works out, then they should do an Idiocracy TV series or something.
Yeah, right.
Have it take place in the Idiocracy world, however many years past in the future.
We're living in the Idiocracy world. Yeah. I swear to God, I rewatched the film, and the scene where they're talking about
the downfall of mankind,
where they're talking it's got electrolytes. That's what plants crave.
Yeah.
And they're talking. He's trying to convince them they need to water the crops, and the one guy's he's like, the toilets have water in them. I never see no plant grow out of that. and it struck me that's exactly trying to convince these people that vaccines are beneficial. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, while we're on that tangent, I'm just going to mention this really briefly, but I've been rewatching the Harry Potter movies. I'm on the 6th movie, and man, there's I don't know how experienced you are with the Harry Potter franchise. Of course, you know what it is. I don't know if you've watched it or anything, but man, there's some pretty stark parallels going on now when you compare it to what's going on now. Not with the pandemic, but with politics and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's very similar. It just rings out. A character will say something and it's almost verbatim what you'd expect to hear from certain politicians right now. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's Beavis and Butthead. Also on the animated front, SpongeBob and Dora the Explorer are getting more content as well. I don't really have a bunch of information typed up in the show notes for that though. Just know that there's SpongeBob and Dora the Explorer content coming.
It's weird that Dora the Explorer is a big franchise because that was a cartoon for preschoolers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's it's weird.
Every new generation, man.
Weird, a huge franchise. I guess when you think about Sesame Street and stuff is too.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just
Sesame Street Muppets, things like, these are things from like our generation, but there's, this is Dora the Explorer was from a generation. And as they grew up, they got like a Dora the Explorer movie and now they're getting more content, It's just like how we had that kind of stuff too, now they have that.
Yeah, that's true.
Dora the Explorer is their Ninja Turtles. There's a new Teen Wolf movie coming. Not to be confused with the original Teen Wolf movies from the 80s, but this is based on the TV series, and it's a continuation of the TV series.
I know some people like that TV series, but boo words.
The TV series was okay. I watched some of it.
I don't recognize anything that's not the Michael J. Fox / Jason Bateman films. I'm sorry.
It's very different. Like, it's in name only. Only the name is in common, because the Teen Wolf series is a horror series.
If it's not a wacky 80s high school comedy,
nobody's
I don't want
surfing on top of a van.
Nobody. Yeah.
There's no werewolf playing basketball.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some actors that have kind of blown up a bit. One of the actors in the show is now Superman in the Arrowverse.
Oh, Tyler Hoechlin?
Yeah, so he's not returning. And then another one was the guy that is in like those Maze Runner
I heard
movies and
Superman
stuff.
Lois is actually a good show.
I just can't watch any more Arrowverse. I can't.
You're just done.
Yeah, I'm just done with anything connected to any of that. I'm just done. But yeah, and then there's also, like I said, there's a guy, I can't remember his last name. It's Dylan something. He's kind of blown up too. He was the main guy in the Maze Runner movies. He started in Teen Wolf too.
Okay.
He kind of, he was in Teen Wolf too. So neither of them are coming back. Nor is there's another cast member that's not coming back that I think was in a season I didn't even watch. I think she came like later. Cause I only watched like, I think the first 2 or 2.5 or so seasons before I stopped watching. But yeah, so it's weird that so many like prominent cast members aren't coming back and are still going to try to push forward with it. That kind of would seem like a deal breaker to me, but.
Yeah, same.
Oh well. If you like Teen Wolf, you got a movie coming. It just doesn't have most of the people that you like from the series in it. Have you noticed anything about like the Yellowstone stuff on Paramount? Yellowstone was that like Kevin Costner series, and then they made
nothing about that.
It was like this kind of like almost modern Western kind of thing, and then they made a spin-off series that actually took place in the Old West called 1883, and now that became like a big hit for Paramount, I guess. So they're doing a bunch more episodes of that, and then they're starting another spin-off called 1932. So now there's like this like connected Yellowstone universe that like it takes place in different eras or whatever. So that's weird, but that's like apparently a big hit for Paramount. I think it's with an older audience. Yeah,
it sounds like a Kevin Costner, like, I guess like Western sounds like that would be a big hit with like old people.
Paramount's got the lock on old people.
Yes, yeah, like I said, like CBS was like the old people's channel for like a long time, so.
Yeah, with CSI and all those NCIS and stuff. Yeah, definitely. But this is like bringing back Westerns and stuff, so. Halo got renewed for season 2. That's another Paramount Plus.
That's another thing.
That's not out yet, right? That's
not out
like this week, isn't it, or something?
I don't know when it's premiering, but yeah, it hasn't premiered yet. So this is.
We talked about it in our On the Horizon segment.
They got they got a lot of confidence in it. What I think is that, like it's a streaming service, so they're concerned with driving subscribers and driving engagement. And they probably looked at it and saw that launching the Halo series soon, was driving up subscriber numbers among a certain demographic. And they're like, okay, yeah, this is working. Just greenlight a second season.
I briefly subscribed to Paramount Plus, but I canceled because once I got past the South Park specials, I was like, there's like nothing on here for me. And like, so now I'm looking, I'm going like, okay, South Park, they're going to continue more. So I'm going to have to resubscribe at some point. Beavis and Butthead stuff I'm excited about. Nothing else is really super exciting me, but they did announce that Paramount movies from this point on, starting in 2024, actually, are going to be exclusively streaming on Paramount Plus. So they're not going to be putting them on Netflix or Amazon or anything. It's going to be Paramount Plus moving forward. So that could flesh out the lineup a little bit. And also with 2024, they said that they expect to spend more than $6 billion on streaming content in 2024. 2024. So that's a lot of money, but that's not like what Netflix spends, for example. I remember we talked about Netflix spending $8 billion, and that was like 4 years ago. And they've gone up like every year they're spending, So I think they're somewhere at like 16 to 20 billion a year now, Netflix. So
right.
It's not a huge number, but it seems like it's probably close to like what HBO Max is doing, I think, as far as like spending on streaming amount. And they need it. Like I said, there just isn't a lot of content there right now. So hopefully we'll see some more of that, flesh out that lineup and make it worthwhile. And that brings us to the last point about Paramount Plus, which is you brought up how they need to bundle it with Showtime. Well, they kind of are. Right now you can pay for a bundle that includes Showtime and Paramount Plus. It's $11.99 with ads or $14.99 without. This is kind of like what
same price
Disney
as HBO
Hulu
Max.
thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like Disney Hulu thing, where like they're weirdly separate streaming services. But the Hulu thing was because NBC was still invested in Hulu, so Disney couldn't fully integrate it. And NBC is keeping their investment in it until it legally expires, like seemingly out of spite. So they can't do that. Because I think because Disney has Star, which is their Hulu equivalent overseas, but that's integrated into Disney Plus overseas. It's not like a separate app.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing here too, is that, the Showtime content, is going to be piped into the Paramount Plus app, but you have to have that additional subscription.
Yeah.
$14.99. That's like you said, that's HBO Max.
Yeah.
But I don't think Showtime plus Paramount Plus content wise is even close to equal to HBO Max.
No, same. HBO.
Paramount doesn't have the kind of movie diversity that Warner Brothers does.
Showtime has a premium cable channel, to me.
Isn't even close to HBO.
Right. No, definitely not. I always found their offerings to be weaker.
It's getting better though. They brought back Dexter. I didn't watch it because I don't have Showtime.
I heard it was good.
I heard that too. They had that Yellow Jacket show, which actually looked really good to me. That was actually making me kind of consider subscribing to Showtime.
Right. And
I'd heard great things about it. And some of the other stuff that they're buying up is looking like it's starting to get better. So
Showtime used to have a problem in I think the 2000s or something, where they would launch these shows and they'd be critically acclaimed for the first 1 or 2 seasons, and then they'd go off the rails shortly after that.
Yeah, I think they as a channel they got too hands on.
Yeah,
and as a result, the creative endeavor of the show suffered in a way that HBO usually doesn't, because they're kind of better at that game. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it's improving. I think it's a priority I think Paramount wants Showtime to become a competitor to HBO, which were 10 years ago. Showtime was kind of trying to be different, but they were everything they were greenlighting was really boring.
Yeah.
And, it'd be interesting to see if they can keep up with HBO and do more interesting stuff. But yeah, you're going to be able to pipe in Showtime content into the Paramount Plus app, but you're going to need Showtime as well. And the bundle for that, like I said, it's $11.99 with ads, $14.99 ad free. I still think that's a bit pricey. I think they should have gone $9.99 ad free. I think they should have just put Showtime into Paramount Plus, period.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Just not a bundle, nothing. Just put it in and leave the prices the same, at least for now, until they can become content flush.
Yeah.
It's not enough to make me resubscribe until Beavis and Butthead and South Park, until all that stuff starts coming up. That's when I'll resubscribe. But right now, it's not worth it for me. Our next piece of news is Spider-Man No Way Home. More box office news. It is now at $760.9 million domestic.
Wow.
It has now surpassed Avatar as the third largest domestic box office movie of all time.
Continues its domination.
Yeah, so right now it's number 1 is Star Wars The Force Awakens with $936 million, and number 2 is Avengers Endgame with $858 million. It's unlikely to pass those. It's gonna stop around 2, I think, because it's kind of nearing the end of its theatrical run.
Right, yeah.
At the global box office, it's sitting now at $1.8 billion, which makes it the 6th biggest of all time. This is behind Avatar, Avengers Endgame, Titanic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Avengers Infinity War. All of those movies have made over $2 billion, which it is not likely to crack. And there's a key reason why it's not likely to crack the 2 billion mark, and that's because Spider-Man No Way Home does not have a Chinese release.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that it did that well without a Chinese release is pretty damn impressive. It means if it did have a Chinese release, it would be right up in there. It'd be challenging for like the number in the top 3, you know? But right now, the absolute lead is Avatar, with 2.8 billion, which is just insane. And like I said, it's not gonna climb much further than that. It'll make more money, but it's not gonna pass up any of those 6 that are ahead of it, or any of those 5 that are ahead of it, you know? That's kind of where its path ends, I believe. Unless they do like some kind of a re-release, like a theatrical re-release with extra footage or something. They did that with like the second Spider-Man movie, you know? Then maybe they could push it up a little bit higher, but I doubt it. Without China, that's going to be hard. Futurama is returning. Good news, except for one little detail.
Wait, good news, everybody. There's bad news in the details.
Yes. The bad news is that it is returning without John DiMaggio, the voice of Bender, and various other characters on the show as well. Every one of the main cast members on Futurama does like 6+ voices, you know? They do a bunch. John DiMaggio doesn't want to return.
I can't imagine.
It looks like it's negotiation tactics. So hopefully this gets worked out and he does come back, because Futurama without John DiMaggio it doesn't really work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to have Bender at the very least.
I saw somebody say like, Futurama without Bender is a John DiMaggio no.
DiMaggio no. I mean, it would just be weird if there was a different voice coming out of him.
Yeah. Or if they just didn't have Bender, you know, if they tried to do that.
They can't do that either, because we need Bender. Like,
yeah, he's so essential.
That's like trying to do The Simpsons without Homer and like saying, hey, yeah, but Bart's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah, so that's Futurama. Hopefully John DiMaggio is paid his due and comes back as Bender, because if he doesn't, that'll be kind of upsetting.
Yeah, that would be.
Next piece of news is that Marvel has, Marvel Netflix shows are going to be leaving Netflix. So that's Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Defenders.
Not
all those
surprised.
leaving Netflix.
Netflix contract ran out. I'm guessing this is why, we got the Kingpin and Hawkeye and stuff, I'm guessing, it's because Marvel has the rights now. And so obviously this stuff is leaving Netflix. So, I mean, it hasn't been announced, I guess, yet, but it's going to Disney Plus.
See, that's the weird thing. So if this goes to Disney Plus, it's kind of breaking the mold on like the level of violence that's acceptable.
Well, maybe it will go to Hulu then. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. but in defense of it coming to Disney Plus instead of Hulu, look at like the stuff we're starting to see out of Moon Knight.
Did you see Kevin Feige said about Moon Knight?
Yeah.
He said Moon Knight's gonna be more brutal.
Yeah.
Than anything they done. And he said with Moon Knight, he is pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable on Disney Plus.
Yeah. That's the tricky thing. Like, you have stuff in Daredevil and Jessica Jones, those two in particular, but, we haven't even mentioned, like, Punisher, for example,
Yeah. But the fact is, like, I think that shows, like, how much, like, trust Disney has in Kevin Feige and how much, like, power or leeway he wields over, like, that particular fiefdom. The fact that, I think it's that we're seeing, like, because, like, stuff like you said, Spider-Man No Way Home did so well and other movies do so well. I'm thinking, like, he's being afforded, like, some special privileges here.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The other thing is that there was a while ago, there was a rumor, if you remember correctly, about about a Disney Plus, like, kind of more adult tier, like that was going to be, like, more mature content. And the idea was that they were going to kind of phase out Hulu, like, into Disney Plus.
Yeah, that obviously hasn't happened.
But that's kind of what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's just that they can't because, like you mentioned, the NBC thing, but that contract's coming up soon. The time's coming up on that. So it's like they're starting to near that point where I wonder if that's actually going to end up happening, because that would really allow them to put that stuff up without any like real concern,
Yeah.
But that's, Marvel Netflix shows leaving Netflix. That's a big deal. Just the other day, Cyberpunk 2077 dropped patch 1.5. And we normally wouldn't just talk about an update patch, but the whole thing about Cyberpunk 2077.
It's a next gen update patch, right?
It's more than that. It's like, cause it covers
so it's
like the PC build and Stadia and all that stuff too.
Yeah. But it's like, the big news is, it's like the Xbox Series X and PS5 version versions of the game have officially dropped.
That's the headline, but I think the real big news is that this is the patch that basically, people are saying like
the game.
Cyberpunk is actually complete now, or like is actually like a real game now, kind of, because that's been kind of the thing for a while. Like since it launched like a year and a half ago was the idea that like Cyberpunk should not have launched in that state. And this is like basically saying like, okay, the bugs and issues in the game are kind of at an acceptable level now.
I saw Bloomberg, Jason Schreier was reporting, like in his initial reports on it, he was reporting that some people at CD Projekt Red, he heard from some people at studio that some developers at studio were not happy with the release date, and by their estimates, were thinking that the game needed to be delayed to at least early 2022 to be finished. And seems like there's truth to that because
yeah. So there's some new content. It's not an overwhelming amount of new content. This isn't even like a DLC pack level of new content, but it's like just, there's a little bit of new stuff. We
got like a lot of bug fixes, a lot of stuff working correctly now. We got enhancements for next-gen systems. We got ray tracing now on the next-gen consoles.
It had ray tracing on PC, but now it's got it for the next-gen consoles. It had major overhaul in AI, apparently, for all forms of AI, because it has improvements for crowd, like AI, also for enemy AI, and for ally AI, have all been drastically improved, apparently. Big changes in the way the cars work, which is good because the cars kind of handled like garbage in Cyberpunk. Like the bikes worked okay, but the cars handled really badly. So that would be nice if that's improved. There's improvements in the romance department, or you had like 4 people that you could start romances with in the game. And the problem with it was that once you kind of got to the end of the storyline of your romance with those characters, it was almost like they just ceased to exist. Like you could just kind of run into them and get the same dialogue option, and that was it. From that point on, like it just stalled out. And so apparently they're adding to that, and they're making it so that I guess they can visit your apartment, you can stay at theirs. Like they're doing things to kind of make that feel like more a part of the world. And then they made it now that you can rent additional apartments. So you can have your apartment, and then I think there's 4 more. And they added some more secrets throughout the world, which there's already were like a ton of things like that, where you could just find like a random dead body somewhere and get like a data file and find out what happened to them, and find some, maybe some armor or some money or something. Find out why they died and trace that back and get something from it,
Yeah.
But, so this is the big fix. So basically, Cyberpunk 2077's soft relaunch, in a sense, just happened.
Yes, it did.
So that's that. Now on to some Nintendo news. Nintendo has closed their Wii U and 3DS eShops. I'm going to go over the details before we discuss it. You're not going to be able to add funds using a credit or debit card starting on May 23rd. That's no longer going to be available. You're not going to be able to add funds using gift cards starting on August 29th. And you're not going to be able to redeem game codes on the Wii U starting on March 2023. And there is no end date yet for re-downloading purchased content. So if you
forgot to mention that you can still add funds from a Switch if you linked your If you link your 3DS and your 3DS and Wii U account to your Nintendo account on Switch, and you merge the wallets, then
they all share the same amount.
Adding funds to Switch will add funds to 3DS and Wii U, and that will be all linked. That will be the only way after August to add funds. So I just wanted to clarify that, just so people know that there will still be a way to add funds. It's just, gotta freaking do the runaround to do it.
There is some content that is locked to those stores, basically, meaning there's no other way to get it than on the Wii U or the 3DS. And Nintendo says there's no plans to make that available in any other way yet.
Their whole thing is Switch Online. They said they deleted the statement from their website, actually, but people screen capped it, and it was basically like, we think Switch Online is good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it boiled down to. It's not, spoilers, it's not good enough.
But hey, Nintendo has launched a new site that lets you share your Wii U and 3DS stats, so it's all good.
Obviously, I'm not happy about this. I was not happy when Sony announced they were doing the same thing.
May I ask you, are you surprised?
No, I didn't. No, I'm not surprised. I knew this was coming. I kind of dreaded this day. It doesn't, but knowing it's happening doesn't lessen, like, the emotional impact.
Yeah.
Right? It still stings. At least you got a year to, like, stock up, but it's like...
Nintendo really needs to sort out their store situation.
I think everybody needs to sort out their store situations.
The hope is that the Switch successor uses the Switch eShop so that it's a direct continuation in the same way that, like, you know, you can get a game that you had on your original iPad on your new iPad, you know, because it's all the same store. It's all the same thing.
Except technically you can't, but yes.
Unless it's been updated. You can't, you know?
Yeah, because, like, Apple switched to a whole new, like, architecture, and, like, there's a bunch of, like, classic apps that, like, went unsupported and are dead. But, I mean, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, they have to still be supported. But what I mean is that, like, it's the option is there for things to continue.
Right. I mean, it's not just Nintendo, like, it's everybody, especially as we're getting into, like, this generation, we got Sony and Microsoft, they both released consoles that don't accept any physical media.
Mm-hmm. I should clarify just for anybody that doesn't know for some reason, that when Will says that, he means there's a version of each of those consoles that doesn't, you can still get a different version that does accept physical media.
Yes.
Just to clarify, in case somebody doesn't know.
Yeah, in case somebody doesn't, there's still versions that do, but there are consoles out there that don't now accept physical media. And also we're getting to a point where, like, even if you buy physical media, you're not necessarily getting the full game. There's a lot of Switch carts out there that have
download required, like the little warning dialogue box on the front of the box, you know?
Yeah, that has
additional download required, you know?
If you buy the physical disc copy of Halo Infinite, the single player campaign isn't on that disc.
Yeah. So and it's been a joke with the Switch for a while now that, like, you'll buy, like, a trilogy pack and it'll be, like, the first game.
Yes.
And then, like, the other two games you have to download, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like, this is a thing, like, that the industry needs to sort out. I mean, this is a huge drawback to digital. I don't think it should be happening in the first place. I think, like, okay, the Nintendo needs to make those games available on the Switch. Mm-hmm. But it's gonna happen. Nothing you can do about it.
It's the inevitable march to the future. You know, it's all that stuff's gonna happen that people are upset with and don't want to happen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And you know, the problem is that I think there'd be less outrage if the companies, like, had shit in place to give hope for people that things were fine. You know?
And like, there's so many bad takes on social. I've been seeing these people, like, people are just pretending to care about, like, the Wii U and the 3DS. And I can't speak for anybody else but myself, but I am certainly not pretending. I still play my 3DS. I just played through a Link Between Worlds, like, last year, did a full playthrough. I was playing Yoshi's Island DS on my 3DS, like, over the weekend.
I don't, by the way. I don't play either of them. That's why I'll just say straight up, like, this news just really isn't that big of a deal.
I'm not the type of person who just, like, goes, oh, this is old, I guess I'm never going to play it again. That's not my mentality.
I move on and then I come back to it if they, like, release an updated version. Like, I came back to Xenoblade Chronicles because they released the definitive edition, you know?
Right.
Otherwise, I kind of just move on and accept that. Like, that's for me, though. So, like, for me, this doesn't hit. Like, this, like, it's not that I don't understand where people are coming from when, you know, but for me, it doesn't hit. The one thing where this does hit with me is that I do buy almost everything digital. And so, like, there is always a concern in the back of my head about companies not really managing their stores properly, you know, and, like, the fact that I'm all digital and what that means. So there is, like that concerns in the back of my head, but, like, this direct action doesn't really have much of an effect on me based on my play uses, you know?
I mean, like, just yesterday I bought an Xbox 360 game off of Microsoft Store. Still regularly doing that. Still trying to build up my digital 360 library. library. So this hits me, because there are still games like that I've been playing to get on the Wii U and 3DS, like stuff like, I think like the 3D Classics games on 3DS. Earthbound Beginnings was a game I wanted to pick up.
They need to just bring that shit over to Switch, and they need to like, I'm really hoping with the Switch 2 that they kind of blend together in the same way that like, if you go from an iPhone 6 to an iPhone 8, that needs to kind of be the standard moving forward.
I mean, yeah, that's the dream. Because that's one of the things like I love about the PS5 is that it blends so seamless. All my PS4 games are there. I can download them and play them just like it was a PS4 console. It's seamless. Like everything is just there. Everything's in the store. It just works. And I would love for whatever the Switch 2 to come out to be like that with the Switch.
I'd even be fine, like, if they had to do updates to the games to make them work on the new hardware, I'd even be fine with what Nintendo did with the Wii U. Remember with the Wii U Virtual Console where, like, they had, like, an upgrade fee?
Oh, yeah,
like, I'd even be fine with that. But, I mean, like, they need to do something. Because right now, just the idea of, like, buy a game. How long will you have it? Who knows?
And that's the thing, too. Like, the Virtual Console is so much bigger and better than Switch Online. Yeah, there's many more platforms. There's a ton of games for each platform on the Wii U Virtual Console. I think the Wii U Virtual Console has like over 300 games out. Switch Online still only has like 130. And they're releasing them at like a glacial pace. Like the last update to the SNES and NES apps was in July. And then they just announced, we're adding Earthbound to the SNES app. And it's like, that's one game in like what, 6 months?
Well, 2.
Like, no, it's one game for the SNES app.
Yeah. But also,
and then one game for the NES.
Yes.
Like it's 2 between 2 apps, but like those games should be getting those apps should be getting multiple games apiece, like more regularly, is what my point is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially since like Nintendo's expecting you to give them money for that service.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I mean, I think what you pay for Nintendo Switch Online, you're getting the value from that. I'm not even talking about the expansion pass, but $20 a year, even though we talk about the glacial pace of stuff coming out, that's still a lot for $20 a year.
And then like, yeah, well, you want to talk about expansion pass, they want $30 more.
Yeah, that's still
for Genesis and N64 games, and they're drip feeding those too.
Yeah, that's still, that's kind of not great. The expansion pass is a whole different story. Yeah, that's not great. But we gotta move on.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's talk about, there's a bunch of trailers came out, mostly because of the Super Bowl, but some that have come out around before and some after since then. But there's a lot of trailers to talk about. As we mentioned last week, we said there was going to be. So let's kick things off with some of these trailers. The Adam Project.
It looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. It looks like a fun movie. Looks like a very fun concept. It's like a sci-fi version.
It's got 80s vibe, doesn't it?
It does have an 80s vibe. It's like
not in style, but like
it's like a science fiction version of The Kid.
Yeah.
You remember that with like Bruce Willis?
I saw some people like comparing it to like Last Starfighter and things like that.
Yeah, definitely like Last Starfighter vibes there. Maybe it's like The Kid meets Last Starfighter.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Netflix's original movies don't have a great track record, so I'm kind of hoping
it looks like this has like pretty
turnaround for it.
But this looks like it has pretty decent budget behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it's got a good story behind it.
Yeah, let's hope, right?
Yeah, it's got a good actor attached to it.
I like Ryan Reynolds. It looks like a lot less obnoxious than Free Guy, so that's good.
Yeah.
PewDiePie shouldn't be showing up in this, I don't think. Yeah. or Ninja.
No, it wasn't PewDiePie's Ninja, yeah, Ninja.
Yeah.
It might be worse than PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Next trailer was like a mix of a bunch of stuff. It was basically everything that's coming up on AMC. New and returning shows. They showed some new footage for, I'll just read off all of them before we discuss it. Better Call Saul, 61st Street, Killing Eve, Dark Winds, The Dirty Black Bag, Moonhaven, Gangs of London, Interview with the Vampire, The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and Tales of the Walking Dead. That's the Walking Dead channel. It should be AWC, American Walking Dead channel.
And Walking Dead Miami.
Yeah.
Walking
Dead SVU.
Yeah, SVU. Yeah, exactly.
That zombie touched me. Yeah, I mean, the main points here is like, Better Call Saul had a lot of footage, but like, if you haven't watched that, if you're not up to date on that, then that doesn't really mean anything. The big thing though was Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, I think, that's the big thing. I didn't even know they were doing that. Big Anne Rice adaptation. So that's
Brian
cool.
Fuller had some involvement at the beginning stages. I have no idea if anything he had his hands on is
Brian Fuller,
in this now.
Since Hannibal, has been famous for signing on to projects and then, bowing out, when they finally, got started.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's weird.
He bowed out of this before it got started.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he just jumped on as a favor to Anne Rice to, help them figure out how to write a show or something.
Right.
And then was like, okay, you got it now, I'm out, Besides that, the footage for Moonhaven looks kind of interesting. I think that one looked kind of like a little fantasy-ish. So that grabs my attention just because of that. It's not particularly interesting for any other reason than the fact that I'm just like fantasy stuff. Next trailer, Jurassic World Dominion.
It looks cool. It looks like a fun time. It's
cool seeing the three together again.
Yeah, it's cool seeing the original cast. They're going to team up with the new cast and dinosaur antics. All the dinosaur hijinks that you come to love and expect from this franchise looks like it's there, so.
I can't wait for the scene where they're in a hallway with a bunch of doors and they're running in and out of the different doors and it's playing wacky music. And then the two of them will they'll back into each other because they're going out backwards, and then they look at each other and go, and freak out and run back.
Yeah. And then they unmask the Velociraptor. It's Old Man Higgins.
Yeah, it was him all along, and he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those really old people from the original movie.
Yeah.
Let's move on from that. Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It looks fun. I'm actually looking forward to this movie.
I still haven't seen one.
I haven't watched the first one, but I'm looking forward to this more than I'm excited for this more than the first movie.
Yeah. Idris Elba, man.
Idris Elba, yeah. It's gonna be great.
How about Nope?
Nope. It looks interesting. Still, very vague on what exactly is happening.
I love the opening, how it just opened very, cheerful and charismatic, and then before you even get to any of the spooky stuff.
It gets, it gets ominous fast.
Yeah.
I love the line in the trailer where, he's what's a bad miracle? What's the word for that?
Yeah.
It seems to be maybe an alien invasion movie.
That's what it seems to be, yeah.
Yeah. But it's Jordan Peele. It looks fantastic. One thing's pointed out is so many trailers these days practically spoil the entire movie, and this spoils nothing.
Yeah. It's still so vague.
Yeah, so vague. So that's refreshing. There's still an air of mystery surrounding this movie, and hopefully that's maintained as it releases.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we had the DC The World Needs Heroes trailer, which had footage from a bunch of the DC movies.
Yeah.
You got to see some more of the characters in the Black Adam movie, for example.
The world needs better films. Is what it needs.
You got to see there's a bunch of characters from in the Black Adam movie that, you get to see Dr. Fate and other characters. Hawkman, oh boy. He was so great in Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh god, yeah, they were the stand-ups in Legends of Tomorrow. All I've seen of Black Adam was that teaser. Haven't seen enough to determine the quality of that. But I'm just not really hyped by much of anything except for maybe Batman. And maybe
the Batman
2
looks
will
good.
Be fun.
The Batman looks good. I think we haven't seen enough of Shazam 2 for me to be interested in that yet.
Right.
But the Batman looks good. That's about it.
Yeah.
Next up, we had the most hotly anticipated trailer that we knew about that was going to be at the Super Bowl, and that was The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which, my God, that looks expensive.
It does. It looks, they put money into it for sure. It looks good. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so
if you pop online though, man, a lot of Lord of the Rings fans are not happy.
Really? All I did was I watched the movies that Peter Jackson put out. So I like the movies just fine. This looks good. If they can maintain that level of quality, that level of tone and stuff with the material, I think it'll be fine.
I think if you showed Lord of the Rings book fans a clip where a character talked about a tree and said it was oak, and in the book it was called oaks or something, there was a one-letter difference, they would be this is garbage.
Yeah.
They're the most stringent about details of any fan base, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of hyperbole
Oh man,
kind of
I'm glad
this.
I don't care that much.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's freeing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it looks great. Like, you know, like you take that echo chamber out of the picture and it looks great. And man, like I said, I don't think I've ever seen something for TV that looks even close to that expensive. And that includes like the last seasons of Game of Thrones. It just looks insanely expensive. Like you can tell they spent, which is weird because like The Witcher, like season 2 and stuff had apparently like a Game of Thrones level budget and it does not look it.
No.
Like it doesn't look like it's on that scale. This looks expensive. I mean, it is expensive too, but it definitely looks its price. Next trailer we got was Moon Knight, which, you know,
it looks
not
interesting.
Too much more than what we saw in the original.
Yeah, it was pretty similar to the first trailer. It still looks good. Still looking forward to seeing it. But
I just want to see it at this point. Like, I don't need more trailers. I just need to see it. And then also on the Marvel front, the trailer that it wasn't the most anticipated. That was the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. But the one that like ended up blowing everybody away. I'm just saying, but the one that ended up blowing everybody away though is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, this was so good. This looks like leagues better than the first Doctor Strange movie was even. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Unfortunately, like, on the subject of trailers giving too much away, I think this trailer might have deliberately given something away.
I know what you're talking about. It's all over the internet. You don't have to tiptoe around it.
Right. It's a scene where, like, Charles Xavier is, like, maybe in the movie, because, like, there's a scene where it shows Doctor Strange, like, handcuffed before his tribunal, and you kind of get a glimpse of the side of, like, somebody's head. It looks like they're bald, and the voice sounds exactly like Patrick Stewart's voice. Mm-hmm. And so this has actually led people speculation that, like, that scene involves the Marvel Illuminati. Which
there are rumors about some of the other people in the Illuminati that I'm not going to mention because they're not as widespread, but they're fucking nuts, if true.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen, like, the rumors, but if you're not familiar with the Marvel Illuminati, it was a team-up that happened. Basically, the idea was they were going to get together and they were going to unilaterally solve all the problems in the Marvel Universe. The team-up consisted of Professor Xavier, Reed Richards, Namor the Submariner, Black Bolt, Tony Stark, and Doctor Strange were, like, the members.
Mm-hmm. And there have been, in different adaptations, there have been different members.
Yeah, but that was, like, the core original group. That was,
the big original group, yeah. Kind of like all kind of leaders of different factions of the Marvel Universe. So, like, Xavier being kind of representative of mutants, Black Bolt being representative of Inhumans, Doctor Strange being representative of just magic.
Yes.
You know,
Tony Stark being representative of, like, Black Panther
too.
was on the original roster. You're right. I looked up quickly, and Black Panther obviously not going to be in this. We can rule that out off the bat. But because, like, it's obvious, like, it's Xavier talking to him, but it's obviously in that scene, Doctor Strange is standing before multiple people, not just Xavier.
Yeah. And so he's in, like, an audience chamber with, like, there's something like 6 seats in front of him.
Yeah. So that's what leads people to say it's the Illuminati.
Yeah. And there's some, like I said, there's some speculation, screen grabs from the trailer. If you really want to go down the rabbit hole, you can look it up. I'm not going to bring that stuff up. The Xavier thing is so widespread.
Also, since, like, Reed Richards is a member of the Illuminati, that there were the rumors John Krasinski as Reed Richards was going to be showing up in this movie. Pre this trailer dropping, those rumors were flying. So it looks like that might add a little bit more credibility to those rumors.
There are much crazier rumors than that. I don't want to say it because it's...
Yeah, don't say it, but
if it ends up being true, it's going to be like a huge pop moment, like a, oh my god kind of moment. And I don't want to say anything because
I actually haven't, like, seen all the rumors.
Unlike the Charles Xavier thing, some of these rumors are not as widespread, so.
Right. And the Charles Xavier thing, that was a blatant by the trailer.
Yeah, like, you could hear the voice, and it was,
Yeah, like.
He has a very distinct voice.
Yeah, he has a very distinct voice. You can't be mad when, like, the trailer spoils things for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could, but then, like, I mean, you'd have to start boycotting trailers, and I don't want to start doing that.
I'm just gonna say this looks like it might be even crazier than the last Spider-Man movie, as far as, like, crazy stuff.
Then also it's, like, Sam Raimi, so you got, like, Sam Raimi's signature, like, style is, like, all over that trailer. So I think this is going to be something special.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's coming out a few days after my birthday, so it's a late birthday gift for me. That's what Sam Raimi intended, I'm sure. He tried to get it out for my birthday, and he said, it's just going to be a few days late. Sorry. And I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, Sam.
It's okay, Sam. He tried.
Yeah, you tried. I still accept it. Our last piece of news for our news segment is a segue into our next segment, our full spoiler segment, and that is that Peacemaker Season 2 has been announced.
I'm so happy.
Ahead of the season finale, which airs in a couple of hours from the time we're recording this. So
that reminds me, another like HBO Max, Warner Brothers DC news. Apparently Warner Brothers tapped a writer to produce a Wonder Twins movie for HBO Max.
Yeah, more stuff that people don't want.
Exactly. And I'm just sitting here thinking, no, just more James Gunn stuff, please.
Yeah. It's just more James Gunn stuff. Just put him in charge, let him pick people that are going to work on stuff.
Right.
You know, if somebody else is going to make some show, just let James Gunn put his stamp of approval on it before it happens.
Like, I'd be more excited by a Wonder Twins movie if, like, it was James Gunn producing, because, like, he would do some crazy shit with that.
Yeah.
But this is probably going to be middle of the road stuff.
But Peacemaker, man, Season 2, that's awesome. And that leads us directly into our full spoilers segment. This week on Full Spoilers, we are discussing Peacemaker, Episode 6, Mourn After Reading, and Episode 7, Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Yes, 2 great episodes. They go right into each other. Really, we're heading into the end game here. So what did you think?
It's good, man. There's a revelation that some people are probably going to like say is woke and hate it and stuff.
Oh, really?
That I think works so perfectly. It was a kind of slightly subtle revelation that Peacemaker's bi.
I didn't get that.
His dad said it. His dad said, and you were like laying with men or something, like at one point.
Oh, okay.
And like, it was like just kind of a subtle moment, but I think it adds a lot to it because it plays into like why his dad hates him so much as like an intolerant bigot. It makes it make more sense than just like, oh, he preferred his older brother and blames him for the brother's death. When you actually see the flashback of how his brother died, like there really shouldn't be reason to put that all on Peacemaker, you know, even from somebody as bigoted and crazy.
I love the episode because like it really showed off John Cena's like acting chops. James Gunn, he proved John Cena can act because like the beginning of the last episode that we watched where we finally find out exactly the context of what happened to his brother. And it's because his dad's a piece of shit and they made him like fight for their amusement apparently. He ended up hitting his brother and killing him.
Yeah, his brother went into like a seizure and died.
Yeah, and he's remembering that, you know, and he's crying. And then there's also the ending, you know, like after Peacemaker kills his father, you know, and he starts crying again. Very powerful emotional performances from John Cena. I also love like Vigilante's like, dude, I don't think this is a good time for you to do your face exercises. And he's like, although it's like, although I guess maybe that's how you keep it so incredibly toned. You know, like maybe that's
everybody's looking at Vigilante like, what kind of fucking moron?
yeah. Economist is like, he's crying, you asshole.
We almost lost a dear character. I suspect that we maybe did lose that character.
Wait, what character? What are we talking about? Eagly. No, Eagly's fine. Eagly's fine.
You think so? I think he was dead.
What are you talking about? Like, he hugs Peacemaker at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but is that Eagly? Or is that a butterfly?
Wait, why would it be a butterfly? Eagly was fighting the white supremacists.
That was Eagly. But then Eagly was dead on the fucking table at their place after returning. And
There's no butterflies at their place.
There was Mourn, who they thought died.
Mourn's dead.
We think he's dead. I think it could be a butterfly. I think the Mourn butterfly could be an Eagly now.
Okay. Well, maybe. We'll have to see the next episode to confirm if you're correct about that. I don't think so.
I think something's up with Eagly.
You think something's up with Eagly?
Yeah, I think it could be a butterfly. It could be something else, but I think something's up with Eagly.
I love that, like, because Eagly, like, hugs Peacemaker. Leota walks in and like sees it because like the callback to the beginning of the season where like Peacemaker tells her, you know, Eagly hugged him and she didn't believe it. And then she sees it and it gives her like newfound hope.
Yeah. She's like, she calls up her fiance or her wife or whatever. And it's like,
she's like, I saw
a miracle.
Yeah. That was great. let's talk about Mourn. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it sucks that Mourn died.
Mhm.
He got killed by Butterfly Agent Song, who's actually like the head evil butterfly now.
Yeah, that was
Goff.
Yeah, Goff, or the butterfly that was in Goff.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like, was the senator's name Goff, or was the butterfly's name actually?
The senator's name was Goff.
Okay.
And so it took over Goff's body, and then when they killed Goff, and Peacemaker kept it, and it got loose, and it went into Sophie Song, the detective.
Yeah, well, it got loose because Vigilante's carelessness.
So now it's a Goff song.
Yeah, it's a Goff song. Goff song. Oh, god damn it.
It's the cure.
It's the cure. So yeah, what happened is like now like the butterflies have taken over Agent Song and pretty much the entire police department, plus like all the prisoners that they had in the facility. That happened, and then Peacemaker fought the white supremacists and killed his dad. And now they gotta go kill the cow that's providing all their food supply.
Who we finally see, and it's this massive,
it's this massive
alien.
thing.
Looks like something that looks like kind of like almost like one of the worm creatures from Starship Troopers, the psychic ones.
Like, I predict, like, next episode, Peacemaker's actually gonna get a jetpack. Because, like, there's gonna be something like...
That would be a good callback.
Yeah, there's gonna be something like where the cow has, like, a weak point or something on its back or something, and Peacemaker has to fly up there and hit it.
I suspect somebody's gonna go inside that thing.
Probably. That's also a possibility, too. That's also a possibility.
Not only is that something that happens a lot, but it's something that James Gunn has done several times before himself.
Yeah, so that's
the opening sequence of Guardians 2.
Yes, so that's a possibility. But yeah, still having a lot of fun with this show.
Yeah, it's great. You mentioned being able to see John Cena's acting chops. I think we got to see him kind of as a Renaissance man in different ways, because we also got to see that he's actually a kind of beautiful pianist.
Oh yeah, that's right.
At the end of the episode 6, he's playing...
Yeah, he's playing on a piano.
Yeah.
Obviously... Yeah.
There's behind the scenes footage of him like sitting at the piano playing some other stuff as well. That was like cool. So that was him playing. That's not, that wasn't filled in. Like John Cena knows how to play. So.
Oh god. What about like in episode 6 when like John Cena, when he's at the school talking to the kids? Oh god. So much great stuff. It's like, you gender reversed Alfred E. Newman. Like, I lost it.
Yeah. That was great. Just the whole like school thing. Yeah. And then we got to see
the girl's like,
we got to see the
girl's like, I think you're my dad.
And then the moment was just interrupted, like it never went anywhere. Just like a moment of shock on his face, and then like it just went away.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to see Jander again.
Yeah, that was cool. We got to see Judo Master again.
Yeah, we got to see school. Not the school. No, Judo Master escaped. He beat up some guys outside of a convenience store.
I love the like thumbs up from the guy inside the store.
Yeah. Because even like the store owner agreed, like those guys were douchebags.
It was funny.
And that was funny. Of course, he attacks Harcourt and Leota, and they managed to incapacitate him again. And so I'm not sure what's happening with Judo Master. We'll have to see in the last episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we mentioned it kind of like really quickly, but Peacemaker did kill his father in this episode. His father had finally decided to kill his son, went after him in the full armor. We got to see kind of like the capabilities of that. Yeah,
we got to see capabilities like you can fly, you can shoot repulsor blasts, stuff like that. Obviously what Vigilante said.
Came in clutch, like wrecking his armor.
Well, Vigilante pointed out the gaps in his armor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he exploited. He was like, it's the gaps in the armor.
Yeah. He came in clutch. He wrecked the armor, and then that allowed, they had that tense moment where Dragon was calling his son like weak and stuff like that. That's where he also talked about him sleeping with men and stuff. All that kind of stuff was coming out. And then, you just see him just out of nowhere, just get shot in the head. And it's almost like, you almost like expect that somebody else had done it, I almost expected to see it pull around and you saw that it was like Vigilante that shot him or something. But no, it was Peacemaker, and that's better. It's good that he's the one that killed him,
Yeah,
for the story purposes that needed to kind of happen that way. So yeah.
Well, it's also a callback to earlier when Peacemaker couldn't kill the senator and his family, and Peacemaker choked. It was this scene. You thought Peacemaker might choke again, but he didn't.
Yeah, he went through and killed his dad, which needed to happen because his dad was a monster.
Yeah,
and everybody else died too. All the
all the other whites. Economos came in clutch. I love Johnny Economos in like the series. He's the type who he doesn't want to be in the thick of things. He doesn't want to be in the battle, and he's trying to like avoid confrontation. But when push comes to shove, he will get in there and, do what needs to be done. Like, don't forget when they were at Goff's compound and stuff, and Judo Master was escaping. Economos was the one who captured Judo Master.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the gorilla.
Yep, and Economos saved them from the gorilla, too. So
he saved them from not Grodd.
Yeah, not Grodd. Not Grodd, just a regular gorilla possessed by a butterfly. Yeah. No super
just your everyday gorilla possessed by a butterfly.
Yeah, no super intelligent gorilla.
Yeah. But it almost felt like a kind of shout out to that or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, is there anything else to say about the last 2 episodes of Peacemaker besides just the fact that this has just been excellent from beginning? Like, there hasn't been a bad episode. It's just been good.
I'm super hyped for the finale. That's all I gotta say.
Definitely. And I'm psyched that knowing that there's a season 2, so that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome too. I'm glad they've renewed it.
Yeah, but that's it then for Peacemaker and our full spoiler segment. We have a few last orders of business to get to before we end out the podcast. Unfortunately, we had another iconic figure in the entertainment industry pass away. This time it was director Ivan Reitman, who passed away at the age of 75.
Yeah, that sucks.
Reitman did Meatballs, Stripes, the 2 Ghostbusters, the first 2 Ghostbusters movies. He also did the Schwarzenegger comedies, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, and Junior.
Yeah, like a lot of movies from my childhood.
He's a classic, comedy director. And, I didn't want to go on too much about it, but I thought I'd read the tweet that his son, Jason Reitman, wrote about, his father. His son, Jason Reitman, is also a director. He directed the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, which is kind of like a beautiful, that happened so recently, kind of ties the legacy together. But Jason Reitman wrote, "I've lost my hero. All I want is the chance to tell my father one more story. He came from a family of survivors and turned his legacy into laughter. Thank you for the kind messages. Enjoy his movies and remember his storytelling gifts. Nothing would make him happy." Mm-hmm. So rest in peace, Ivan Reitman, and our condolences to his family. And then the last piece of news after that sad thing is that we were going to have a On the Horizon segment, but we only had one thing to talk about that's coming up that's really significant, and that is Elden Ring, which is coming up on Friday, February 25th on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Yes.
So, if you're excited about that, if you're as excited as Will about that, then enjoy your time with Elden Ring. Next week, we're going to continue to discuss Peacemaker by going over its season finale now. I was going to say finale or series finale, but
it's season finale
now. It's a season finale, which is exciting. So thank you everybody for listening. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our podcast on your podcast client of choice, including Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Google Podcast, any of those. Leave us a comment if you can, good, bad, or indifferent. We'll be happy to hear any feedback from you. But until next week when we discuss the Peacemaker finale, thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.